When the call came in over the radio, the line went quiet. Search teams had been combing the Alaskan wilderness for days, prepared to recover a body, not rescue a man still breathing. Hypothermia had already claimed countless hikers in far gentler conditions. Survival beyond 72 hours was rare. Beyond 5 days, almost unheard of. And yet, there he was, standing upright in the snow, chained, alive, bolted to a pine tree deep inside Alaska's frozen interior, as if someone had wanted him displayed rather than hidden. To this day, investigators still ask the same question. Who carried chains into the wilderness? And why did they leave him alive? What you're about to hear is not a story about death. It's a story about survival under impossible circumstances, and a mystery that still has no answers. A 28-year-old man traveled alone into the frozen wilderness of Alaska, searching for peace, solitude, and adventure. He planned carefully. He told people where he was going. He was experienced, prepared, and confident he would return. Then, without warning, he vanished. 5 days later, search teams didn't find a body. They found a man sitting upright in the snow, alive, chained to a pine tree deep inside the forest, arranged in a way that made it clear someone else had been there and walked away. No suspects, no explanation, no justice. Stories like this deserve to be remembered, not sensationalized, but examined, questioned, and respected. Before we go any further, if you support long-form true crime storytelling that gives victims a voice and refuses to let mysteries fade into silence, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss future cases like this one. Now, let's go back to the moment he stepped into the snow, unaware that someone else was already waiting. Evan Mercer was 28 years old, but people often said he carried himself like someone older, quieter, observant, content being alone. He worked in digital marketing, remotely, which allowed him to move freely. He had no criminal history, no enemies, no known mental health struggles that could explain what would later happen to him. What Evan did have was a deep, almost obsessive love for nature. He believed isolation sharpened the mind. That silence stripped life down to its essentials. And nowhere represented that philosophy more than Alaska. 4 years, Evan watched documentaries, read survival forums, studied maps. He didn't want tourist Alaska. He wanted the real thing, the parts of the state that remained untouched, unmonitored, and brutally honest. When he finally told his family he was going alone, they were uneasy, but not alarmed. Evan wasn't reckless. At least, that's what everyone believed. Evan's preparations were meticulous. He filed a travel plan with a local outfitter, detailing the region he intended to explore near the outer edges of Chugach National Forest. He rented a satellite phone, packed emergency flares, extra rations, and thermal gear rated for temperatures far below zero. He studied weather forecasts daily. He knew snowstorms were unpredictable. And most importantly, he told multiple people exactly when he planned to check in. This was not the behavior of someone looking to disappear. This was someone expecting to return. Evan arrived in Anchorage in early winter, when daylight shortened and snow settled permanently into the forest. He stayed one night in a small roadside lodge before driving out toward his drop-off point. Security footage later showed him smiling as he loaded supplies into his rental vehicle. Nothing unusual. No one following him. No sense of urgency. His last purchase was a thermos of coffee at a remote gas station, time-stamped, mundane, painfully normal. That was the last time anyone saw Evan Mercer moving freely. Evan's first 2 days went according to plan. His satellite phone transmitted routine check-ins. He took photos of towering pine trees, untouched snowfields, and his boots leaving clean impressions behind him. He set up camp in a protected clearing. Everything about those images later disturbed investigators, because nothing in them suggested danger. No fear. No chaos. Just peace. On the third day, his check-in never came. Evan's final communication arrived late in the evening, hours after he was supposed to check in. The message was brief. Signal bad. Heading deeper tomorrow. All good. It wasn't alarming. But in hindsight, it raised questions. Why head deeper when the signal was already failing? Why change the plan? No one knows if that message was sent under pressure, or if it was the last thing Evan ever did of his own free will. When Evan failed to check in again the following day, his sister grew concerned. By the next morning, concern became panic. Search and rescue authorities were contacted. Time was already working against them. Search teams reached Evan's campsite within 48 hours. What they found unsettled even seasoned rescuers. The tent was intact. His backpack sat upright, carefully zipped. Food supplies untouched. No signs of a struggle. But something critical was missing. Evan's boots. Instead, there were barefoot footprints leading away from the campsite, pressed deep into the snow. The prints did not return. Experienced hikers do not remove their boots in sub-zero temperatures. Barefoot exposure causes numbness within minutes, severe pain shortly after, and loss of mobility soon after that. Investigators debated possibilities. Disorientation, hypothermia-induced confusion, or something far more deliberate. One searcher said quietly, "People don't walk barefoot into death unless someone makes them." Helicopters scanned from above when weather allowed. Ground teams moved outward in coordinated grids. The terrain was unforgiving. Snowfall erased tracks within hours. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. By day 5, internal discussions began shifting from rescue to recovery. And then someone saw it. From a distance, it looked like debris. A dark vertical line against white. But as the searcher approached, the shape didn't move with the wind. It stood rigid. Human. The radio crackled. "We found him." Then a pause. "He's alive." Evan Mercer was chained upright to a pine tree. Heavy chains wrapped around his torso and arms, bolted directly into the trunk. The metal had begun freezing into the bark. Snow was deliberately packed around his feet to hold him upright. His boots were placed beside the tree. Neatly, as if someone wanted him to stand there, waiting. It took over an hour to free him. His lips were cracked. His face was pale. Frostbite had begun to claim his extremities. But his chest rose and fell. Weak, but alive. One rescuer later said, "It felt wrong, like we'd interrupted something." Doctors later confirmed Evan should not have survived. His body temperature hovered just above fatal. Dehydration was severe. His muscles were stiff, locked from exposure. Someone had calculated something. Wind protection, tree insulation, snow placement. This wasn't random. This was controlled. Evan woke up in the hospital disoriented and terrified. He didn't scream. He didn't cry. He asked one question. Did they leave? His memory was fragmented. He remembered stopping on the trail. Voices behind him. More than one. He remembered being told not to fight. Then darkness. Cold. Pain. Looking up at pine branches as snow fell into his eyes. That was it. The chains were examined. Industrial grade. Common. Untraceable. No fingerprints. No DNA. No tool marks that could identify a manufacturer. They might as well have been chosen specifically to leave no trail. Perhaps the most disturbing detail: there were no footprints other than Evan's. No drag marks. No signs of another person leaving the scene. Snow had erased everything. Whoever did this understood Alaska. Investigators quietly debated theories. Evan stumbled onto illegal activity. Someone wanted to test survival limits. Psychological torture. A warning meant for no one else. But none fully explained why Evan was left alive. The story exploded. Headlines called it "The Man in the Snow." Speculation spiraled. But facts remained scarce. Authorities released almost nothing. Evan survived. But the wilderness never left him. He developed tremors, nerve damage, chronic pain. He refused interviews. Until one day, years later, he said, "They didn't want me dead. They wanted me there." The case remains open. No arrests. No suspects. No explanation. Somewhere in Alaska's vast wilderness, someone knows exactly how close Evan Mercer came to dying. And they've never spoken. 5 days. That's how long he stayed there, chained, exposed, helpless, while the snow fell quietly around him. Someone carried heavy chains deep into Alaska's wilderness. Someone restrained a grown man. Someone arranged his body, packed snow around his feet, and left his boots beside him. And then, they disappeared without a trace. To this day, no one knows who did this. No one knows why. And no one has ever been held accountable. Evan Mercer survived, but whatever happened to him that day never truly ended. Some questions don't fade with time. They grow louder. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think happened out there in the Alaskan forest? Do you believe this was a calculated act by someone who knew the land? Or something even darker, something we still refuse to understand? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if stories like this make you pause, question, and look twice at the world around you, make sure you're subscribed, because there are many more mysteries like this waiting to be told. Until next time, stay aware, stay curious, and never underestimate how quiet the wilderness can be.